For more than 2 decades, Kristy McNichol's disappearance from Hollywood felt like a quiet mystery no one was allowed to solve. She didn't announce a dramatic retirement. She didn't stage a comeback tour. She didn't sit on talk show couches explaining her pain. One moment, she was everywhere, on television screens, movie posters, magazine covers. Then, suddenly, she was gone. Fans waited. Hollywood speculated. Rumors filled the silence. And Kristy McNichol said nothing. Until much later, when the truth finally surfaced, and it revealed far more than anyone expected. Kristy McNichol was not just another child star. She was the child star. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, she represented something rare in Hollywood: authenticity. She wasn't manufactured glamour or artificial innocence. She felt real. When audiences watched her cry, they believed it. When she laughed, it didn't feel rehearsed. She carried emotional weight far beyond her years, and the industry noticed immediately. Casting directors didn't just see talent, they saw reliability. Kristy could deliver scenes that seasoned adults struggled with, and that made her invaluable and dangerously overworked. Born in Los Angeles in 1962, Kristy grew up in an industry that didn't feel strange to her because it was all she knew. Acting wasn't a dream she chased, it was a path she was placed on. Commercials came first, then guest appearances. Then, almost without warning, stardom arrived. By the time she landed the role of Letitia Buddy Lawrence on the TV drama Family, Kristy McNichol became a household name. The show wasn't flashy, it was emotional, grounded, and raw, and Kristy became its emotional anchor. Week after week, she portrayed trauma, grief, anger, and heartbreak with terrifying accuracy. Critics praised her maturity, audiences connected deeply, and Hollywood rewarded her with awards, including 2 Emmy wins before she was even out of her teens. From the outside, it looked like success in its purest form, but inside, something was breaking. What Hollywood rarely admits is that emotional acting comes at a cost, especially when the actor is a child. Kristy wasn't pretending to feel pain, she was accessing it, over and over again, without tools to protect herself, without the ability to separate character from self. The industry praised her intensity, but never asked what it was doing to her mentally. By the time Family ended, Kristy wasn't relieved. She was exhausted in ways she didn't yet have words for. Instead of slowing down, Hollywood sped her up. Film roles followed quickly. Little Darlings made her a teen icon. Only When I Laugh earned her an Academy Award nomination. Suddenly, she wasn't just talented, she was bankable. Studios depended on her, schedules tightened, expectations grew heavier, and Kristy learned an unspoken rule early: you don't say no. Behind the scenes, pressure ruled everything. Scripts piled up, interviews never stopped, public appearances were mandatory, privacy vanished. Kristy was expected to be grateful, smiling, and endlessly available, but she was still a teenager trying to understand herself in a world that demanded perfection. Anxiety crept in quietly, so did exhaustion, but there was no space to rest, and no language to explain what she was feeling. By the early 1980s, cracks began to show. Kristy experienced panic attacks, emotional breakdowns, and overwhelming fatigue. She struggled with eating disorders and depression, conditions rarely acknowledged in Hollywood at the time, especially for young stars. Mental health was not discussed. It was hidden, ignored, or labeled as weakness, and Kristy, like so many before her, internalized the blame. Her personal life added another layer of complexity. Kristy was grappling with her identity in an industry that demanded conformity. Hollywood in the 1980s was not a safe space for honesty about sexuality. The pressure to appear straight, feminine, and marketable was relentless. Kristy learned quickly that parts of herself needed to remain invisible if she wanted to keep working. That constant self-censorship came at a devastating emotional cost. In 1982, Kristy starred in the Pirate movie, a production that became infamous behind the scenes. The experience was physically demanding, emotionally draining, and creatively frustrating. By the time filming ended, Kristy was barely holding herself together. Then, while working on the TV series Empty Nest years later, everything collapsed. During rehearsals, she suffered a breakdown so severe she could no longer continue. That moment changed everything. Kristy walked away, not temporarily, not strategically. She walked away completely. No farewell interviews, no final performances, no carefully crafted narrative, just silence. Hollywood didn't know what to do with that. Executives labeled her difficult. Rumors spread that she couldn't handle adult roles. Others suggested substance abuse. Some claimed she had lost her talent. None of it was true. The truth was far more uncomfortable. Kristy McNichol left because staying would have destroyed her. For years, she lived quietly away from the spotlight. She focused on healing, something she had never been allowed to do before. Therapy became essential. So did boundaries. Kristy began learning who she was outside of characters, scripts, and expectations. It wasn't an easy transition. Fame doesn't prepare you for anonymity, and healing doesn't happen quickly when trauma is layered over years. During this time, Kristy also made a decision that would later redefine her legacy. She chose to live openly, even if not publicly. She formed a long-term relationship with producer Marty Allen. For a long time, she kept that part of her life private, not out of shame, but out of self-protection. Hollywood had taken enough from her already. In 2012, Kristy finally spoke publicly about her sexuality. The announcement wasn't dramatic, it wasn't staged, it was simple and honest. She said she wanted to help young people who felt different feel less alone. And in that moment, fans finally understood something profound. Kristy McNichol didn't disappear, she survived. What she revealed later about her departure from Hollywood reshaped the entire story. She spoke openly about bipolar disorder, anxiety, and the toll of child stardom. She explained how constant emotional labor without support led to breakdowns, how pretending everything was fine nearly cost her life. Her honesty reframed decades of speculation into a narrative of courage instead of mystery. Kristy didn't leave because she failed. She left because the system failed her. Today, she lives a life far removed from red carpets and studio lots. She teaches acting. She supports mental health causes. She chooses peace over applause. And when fans see her now, they don't see someone who disappeared. They see someone who escaped. Her story forces Hollywood and audiences to confront an uncomfortable truth. Success without care is dangerous. Talent without protection is exploitation. And sometimes the bravest thing a star can do is walk away before the spotlight burns them alive. After 20 years of silence, Kristy McNichol finally came forward, not to reclaim fame, but to reclaim herself. And in doing so, she turned a quiet exit into one of Hollywood's most powerful, untold survival stories.